Hey guys, Professor Perazzo here. The latest episode of Driving Home with the Professor. We're switching things up. So I'm going to give you a rundown on what you're going to be watching. You're going to be seeing an interview I did today with Professor Tim Carpenter. And Tim is a MMA school owner, retired professional mixed martial arts fighter, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, high-level instructor. And we're going to talk about competition, how that competitive spirit in one martial art can take you into another martial art, and ultimately the real question is, what's most fulfilling for him, competing, fighting, or being an instructor? So listen to Tim Carpenter, Driving It Home. All right, everybody, Driving It Home with the Professor. Last time we had a cement wall. This time I believe it's drywall. Here's another wall. At home. Drywalling at home with the Professor. We have Professor Tim Carpenter here, world-renowned flaneur, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, owner of Nak Muay Chalfont, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Instructor at Nak Muay and King of Prussia, instructor here at New Jersey Martial Arts. Tim is a...
Switch it up, guys.
We got class going on right now, so we pulled Tim out for a second.
Same position, new partner.
Same position, new partner, everybody. All right? We're filming. Anyway, so Tim's had an interesting life as a martial artist. He started off as a grappling competitor, or just a grappler. Started off in Judo, Jiu-Jitsu.
Elite.
Like I said, he started off as a grappler. He's competed against some of the best in the world in grappling, some decent MMA fighters, and now he has transitioned into a role as coach, school owner, instructor, that kind of stuff. So, Tim, so a lot of people don't know that you started off in Judo. Is that correct?
Well, it's correct that I started in Judo. I don't know if it's correct that a lot of people don't know that.
I think most of the people probably have no idea who you are.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I started in Judo when I was like 15.
You're 15 years old. Now, you were with Joe Candello, correct?
Joe Candello, Sensei Joe. He's one of the baddest men I ever met.
Yeah, Joe Candello's a pretty, even to this day, he's a pretty,
one of the baddest men I ever met.
So now you transitioned, you kind of stayed with Judo throughout your career, but you went more into Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing, is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, when I started fighting, I originally wanted to do Jiu-Jitsu, but there was no Jiu-Jitsu places near me.
Right.
And I found the Judo place. So I started that. I started competing in that. I had some success, and then I found a Jiu-Jitsu school. I got really into Jiu-Jitsu. I like Jiu-Jitsu more because you didn't have to be quite as athletic.
If anybody knows Tim, they know he'd be the last pick on your basketball team. So
stuff like Judo is like a very high intensity sport. Jiu-Jitsu is a little bit more.
The real athletes is what you're saying.
Laid back, yeah.
Okay.
But I always kept my Judo. It always helped me a lot in Jiu-Jitsu, grappling competitions, and in fighting. It always helped me a lot.
So as you would travel more than an hour when you were starting to do Jiu-Jitsu, right? From Westchester to Center City, Philadelphia. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Well, they don't know. I know. They don't know.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. So let's go. You have white belt, blue, blah, 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 black belt. You've competed from a grappling perspective against arguably, if not the best, some of the best Jiu-Jitsu competitors in the world. Like, talk about some of the guys you've competed against just in grappling or Jiu-Jitsu tournaments.
I've competed against Hadra Gracie, Shanji Hibero. I was in Abu Dhabi in 2007, which is the World Championships of Submission Grappling. Margarita, who's one of the best ever. One of your favorites.
My favorite Jiu-Jitsu fighter of all time.
Did I say Drysdale?
No, you didn't say Drysdale.
Robert Drysdale, who's a multiple-time world champion, a bunch of world champions. I'm trying to think. I didn't do too well against those guys in Jiu-Jitsu. Right,
but I mean, what I'm really asking is, what did competing against, or what I really want to ask is, what did competing against those guys do for your kind of overall view of Jiu-Jitsu, but also competing and moving into MMA?
Well, actually, when I competed against all those guys, I was more into MMA than I was Jiu-Jitsu. But it showed me that I could, even if I would lose a match to those guys, they weren't like so much better than me. Like, there were guys that I had seen, coming up to the ranks of Jiu-Jitsu. There were guys that I had watched, and I'd always wondered like how I would do against them. And even if I would lose to one, I'd be like, well, I was just a step behind. I could have beat that guy if I was a few steps ahead. You know.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
No, for sure. So it just kind of showed you that, you know, like
no one's as good as you think they are. That's what it showed me.
But also, if you're, it's tough to do well at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu if you're also training in MMA, right?
Yes,
I mean, like the guys that are world champions these days at any discipline are singularly focused in that discipline.
Yeah, pretty much. It's very hard to be at a high level of both striking, grappling, and pure grappling. Because the guys that are training for the Jiu-Jitsu World Championships are only training Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
They might do a little bit of boxing here and there, but they're not thinking about a guy punching him in the face.
Right. The concerns are different. So at that time when you were competing against these guys, you were preparing for your MMA fights, and you use this as an opportunity just to get more competition in, to get more kind of competitive time. Is that correct?
I had a chance to compete against good guys, so I pretty much always take that chance.
Right. So now moving into your MMA career, what did competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, grappling, ADCC, how did that help you when you started moving up the ranks and becoming a contender for the Bellator title? How did that help you?
It basically just shows you. I thought he was going to pass out.
Oh, okay.
It taught me how to compete. Like that's a big advantage. Is if you can compete at a high level of one thing, those skills might not transfer over, but the ability to compete and know how to win.
That competitive nature.
Knowing how to win and being under pressure, competing in a big tournament like Abu Dhabi or like junior nationals in Judo or the World Championships of Jiu-Jitsu, there's hundreds or thousands of people watching you and going to see you do it. So that's a big part of the competitive jitters that you get when you go in to fight for the first time.
So what we can agree on then is the more you compete, the better you're going to get a competition.
Yeah. Right.
And you could transfer that skill, or you're a good jiu-jitsu competitor. It's not going to necessarily make you a good MMA fighter, but hey, you know what? It's going to make you a good competitor, and you're going to kind of, as long as you have the right training and the right training partners and the mindset.
Some guys are very skilled, but they're not at all good competitors.
Right. Yeah. No, we talk about that all the time, where sometimes it's not the best guy that wins; it's the best competitor that wins.
Switch it up, guys.
So
now, why don't you take a break?
Okay. So now, you fought MMA. You basically retired. There was a big press conference. You let the world know that you're no longer fighting.
Parade in
Westchester. We had a big parade in Westchester. Now you've become a coach and a school owner. How's this transition kind of helped you from grappler, competitor, fighter to now coach and instructor? Like, what does that bring to the table for you as a coach and instructor, being a competitor, former fighter, that kind of stuff?
As a coach and an instructor, I know what works and what doesn't. I know what it takes to compete. If I have a student that wants to compete or fight, I know kind of how to direct them and what to expect, stuff like that. It helps me give a little bit of guidance, because the technical stuff, anybody can show moves.
Yeah, YouTube can do that, right?
But if you're not training with somebody that has either been in there or gotten other people in there, and like him. But he's also been in there. He's been in the World Championships.
They did super well.
But he's also cornered many successful MMA fighters. So if you're not training at a place that, the instructor has either been in the fire or helped other people get in the fire and come out unscathed. Is that it?
Yeah. No, I mean, does
that make sense?
No, it definitely makes sense, because now you can, like, you're looking at your students and your possible, like, guys that might want to fight and compete, and you can help them down the path, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
when
okay,
I have a guy fighting or competing, I can remember how nervous I felt when I was in that same spot. So I know I know exactly what they're feeling, so I'm able to sort of bring them into, hey man, this is how it feels, this is what's going to happen.
Right, so you could prepare them. Now it's up to them to be able to handle it or not handle it, or that kind of thing. So for you, like, looking back on your martial arts career, what part is most fulfilling for you? The grappling competition, the MMA, school owner, coach? Like, what's the thing, like, sitting back right now, you're saying, hey, you know what? this is what I'm most proud of accomplishing or working towards?
I would like to say that teaching and sharing it with other people, that's a huge part of it. Because really the competitive stuff, like I won a lot of fights and I won a bunch of medals and stuff like that. But I mean I don't even know where they are. Like I don't really sit around thinking about that stuff.
Right.
But I do get to see, like when I see somebody that comes in and like they improve, or they sort of their personality changes, they grow in confidence. That kind of stuff is much cooler and rewarding to see than beating someone up, which is also pretty rewarding in the moment. But it doesn't, But now sometimes I think back and I feel bad about punching people in the face or.
Well, I think we talked about this before, maybe on Lex's podcast. That moment is fleeting when you win, and even when you lose. The adulation, but also the feeling of, like abject, not abject, but just being really pissed off that you lost, or super happy that you won. Yeah, you get people consoling you or congratulating you, but then the next day it's like you move on.
Yeah, it's one of the most fleeting moments I've ever experienced.
So, being the instructor, the coach, the school owner. Is more fulfilling from that standpoint because the feeling lasts longer.
Yeah, and it's you can only compete for so long, but you can share the art forever, pretty much, until you're dead. Pretty much.
One of the things that Da Vinci said about being a teacher, he's like, what did he say? He said,
you're talking about Leonardo da Vinci?
No, the Da Vinci's the pizza shop in South Philly. No, Leonardo da Vinci said, what you do for yourself dies within you. What you do for others remains immortal.
Yes.
So. This is your immortality. All right, I'd like to thank Professor Tim Carpenter for driving it home, and sitting and driving, but he's driving the point home. That's what it means, driving it home. All right, thanks.